Hello, everyone. I am here with my friend Ray. As you can tell by the name of the video, I'm sure that we are no longer romantic with one another. We're no longer a couple together, but we wanted to talk about that and how we still managed to be friends after that situation. And ultimately, how this information can help you if you're going through a hard time or a breakup, or even just with a friend, how you may remedy some things. So, before I begin with that, I do want to thank everyone who has given us so many positive wishes. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel as well. He documents his transition from female to male, and yeah, I think that's a really. I still watch his videos. We're still very close friends, so yeah, certainly check out his stuff too. So, how we will begin this is essentially for the whole month of July 2018. We pretty much we got together at the end of 2017 in December, like very close to the end of the year. And we were going pretty strong up until July is when multiple situations happened that made us realize that we need to work on ourselves more. So what happened was at the beginning of July, there was an incident that happened that made him question a lot of things in regard to the relationship. And if you wanted to begin from there, that's on you now. So, what's from your perspective? How did you see things?
Okay. So from my point of view, it was on July 4th that the incident happened. And we were basically just hanging out with each other that day, spending time together. And something happened over the evening that's really confused me and my feelings, and I was slightly frightened by that incident. And during that time of the incident, I wasn't thinking too much about how that might have affected my relationship. It wasn't until a few days later when I actually thought about it and let it really sink in. And then I started getting more concerned about how I really felt and the doubts I had. And over that weekend, we didn't really speak at all, unfortunately. And I was just trying to figure out my own feelings and the whole situation, like what actually just happened and how did it really affect me. So a lot of doubt was going on during this period of time, and also I was trying to seek knowledge and understanding about what just happened, and if there's any sort of way to resolve that, if this is what's going on with her or what's going on with us, like what is the best course of action. And I wasn't too aware, I wasn't too sure of what exactly to do at that point, so I was reaching out to different people for advice.
Yeah, and during that moment that happened, it was very troubling for me because this was someone that I deeply cared about and loved and trusted, and I felt betrayed knowing that he didn't communicate with me various things, and he started to doubt certain things and was talking with other people about me and the situation without actually coming to me first. Because I always say, if you have any sort of problem with someone, you need to go directly to them. And I do understand that it was very difficult for him to do that, but it made me feel like I lost some trust in him because of that incident that happened. And as I said, going to other people, and it made me feel like I wasn't as comfortable anymore with that situation. So that whole moment, it was like if we were climbing the steps of our relationship and we were going up and up, that incident essentially just put it on like a halt. And I think we both stepped back quite a bit from that situation that happened, and it made us question a lot of things about our relationship.
So yeah, after that whole incident with her and me, and just miscommunication, misunderstandings, a lot of suffering on both ends. um, I believe a week later we met up and we had a talk about our feelings and each side of the story, trying to understand each other, like why we did what we did and how we felt at the time and what we felt like what actually happened. And I felt like that talk was very honest and open. It was very beneficial for both of us to understand why we did what we did, and just try to not blame each other. You know, stop, instead of pointing fingers. First of all, you should just listen and don't judge someone just even based on their actions. Even though I did that, and that is not the correct way to go about things. It's still important to listen to them and respect their views and understand why they did what they did. Not just, oh, you did this, you hurt me, and now either I'm going to hurt you back or I'm just going to judge you forever. That's totally wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew deep down that all the actions that he did weren't intentionally to do harm to me, to hurt me. I understand that, and that's why I started to build up that trust again after we had that conversation. But I was still quite hesitant because of the whole thing that happened. Because it's like, well, what if it happens again? Did you learn from that? And ultimately, I need to look at what I learned from that incident, because there were things that I needed to learn from what happened as well. I can't say that, oh yeah, it was just him. Again, it was a mutual thing that happened. It wasn't just him, it wasn't just me, it was mutual. And I think us both learning those lessons were very important. So from that moment, essentially, I was still a bit reserved in the whole romantic aspect. If we do the steps again, we were climbing the steps, and then that happened. We kind of take some steps back. I feel as though I started to proceed up a little bit, but ultimately, over like the next 2 weeks after that, I just felt like I was just going down those steps some more. Like I was just losing interest in our romantic relationship that we had, and I didn't really understand why I was having going through that. I was having some health issues at the time, and I don't know if that was related to it. I think that may have contributed to some degree, but ultimately I was like, okay, he has to know how I'm feeling about this. I'm not going to hold back. So it was like a week before the end of, actually, it wasn't even a week before the end of the month. It was just a few days before the end of the month where I have a talk with him, and I say, that I'm starting to not really feel the romantic aspect of our relationship anymore. And it was very hard for me to do, because this is like the first ever time that I've actually ever really been in a very close relationship, to be able to say that to someone. And it was hard, very hard for me, especially someone who had been so closed off before from telling people how I feel. So, and I said, I need some time to sort out how I'm feeling and see where we should proceed with the relationship. So that's where you can say from your perspective.
Right. So I truly appreciate how, even though it was hard for her to communicate her honest feelings with me, whether they're happy feelings or sad feelings, it is very hard for really anyone to be open about how they really feel, especially in a relationship where you truly care about each other. And so I want to start by saying I really do appreciate her building up that effort, that inner effort and strength to uh, talk to me, first of all, in person about all of that and let me know just how she really feels deep down. Because I honestly, whether it's friendship or relationship, I want there to be honesty, all the time. And even if it's painful, even if it's negative, I'd rather still know the truth. So I was kind of feeling the same when she brought that up about losing that intimacy and the romance over the past few weeks since the accident. And at the time, though, I wasn't sure if if that was the best time to end things romantically, or if we should just wait it out and see where it goes. But I felt at that point, I felt there was some truth to it that we haven't been as romantic recently, partly due to the fact that she was sick and then I became sick. So that didn't
Sick,
help.
sick, sick.
Yeah, but we eventually we got physically better, and then we were able to think more clearly about the whole situation and how to proceed, and do what's best for us individually.
We
Okay.
pretty much broke it off the very
Yeah.
last day of July, which was a Tuesday. So it
Okay.
was a few days before on a Saturday that
Mm,
that I had mentioned to him, that I brought up
okay.
to him how I was feeling, and then that's when it gave
Okay.
him some time to think about that, and
Right.
then that's when you opened up on Tuesday. So if
Okay.
you wanted to continue
Okay.
from there.
So Tuesday, I believe we went out to an event together, and then after the events, I just felt like I needed to tell her. If I didn't tell her that day, then I would feel like I was hiding something from her, and um, it just really sucks to have to hold back on something. I felt like I should say it. Like that was really the time I really needed to convey my feelings to her, or else I would go home and feel like I'm hiding something from her, or I should have said this, and now I regret not saying it. So after the event, we spoke. We spoke basically. Um, well, it was solo. It was just me and her after that, and I started by basically saying, "Well, I recall the first talk. I think it was the first talk, right, that we had when you were honest with your feelings about how you've been feeling less intimate and um, how things have not gone uphill, but went down. And um, I just really thought more about that. It wasn't just the intimacy and the romance uh, that was an issue. It was more also just um, realizing that we both weren't really vocalizing our true feelings and opening up um, at the time that we needed to. Um, and instead of avoiding each other in our own feelings and um, being upfront, we kind of beat around the bush a little bit and waited until it got to a point where either if you don't do something now and it gets worse and um, it's basically like the lesson you're supposed to learn. You have to learn it then. If you don't learn it then it'll get worse until you finally do learn it. But it at that point there might be more chaos and suffering and pain. um, so learning to like consider each other's feelings, that was really also really important. From that experience, I learned to be more thoughtful and considerate of other people's feelings whenever any obstacle comes that involves not just myself but other people. I have to remember that they also do have feelings, and even though I may feel that, oh, whatever they say, it's not true. I know it's not true, and they can say whatever they want, freedom of speech, whatever.
Mm.
But I would have to also consider how would that person that they're talking about feel if they were to know about this, and if they were here, they would not be happy to hear all that.
Mm.
Um, so instead of going around to different sources and resources and people, it's definitely best to go directly to the person that you have a concern with, the source, the actual source of it. Um, so I learned from that experience to always go to the person that you're involved with instead of other people first. Now, if you go to that person that you're involved with and that doesn't help, then you may reach out to other resources. So I kind of did it backwards, and apologies were said, and we both forgave each other and ended it on good terms.
Yeah, ultimately, from that conversation that we had at the end of July, July 31st, when we decided to break it off, it was very hard for the both of us. I'm sure it was very emotional. Obviously, we've been so close up to that point, and certainly it will be emotional. Um, and I realized from that moment just how many things that I need to work on as well. And there were three core principles, such as being able to open up more and communicate more with my feelings as they happen, instead of holding it back, because just as Ray said, it will come out in some way, often more destructive. And that's like the whole point, the whole lesson that I teach with all of the content that I make, is to be open about how you truly feel, because it may be hard, but once you let that go, it's so much better. So that was a major lesson to be learned. I made so many other changes with myself, including lifestyle changes and just being thankful for every moment, because I realized just how much I took what we had for granted. And I realized just how thankful I am for him and the experience that we had together, because it was very meaningful. And I learned so much, and I changed and grew so much. And I'm so, so, so thankful for them. So thankful for you. And so I learned so many lessons just in those few days after we decided to break it off. And I was like, okay, we need to have a talk about this. There's no more awkwardness, because that was a moment where, right after, we were still a bit awkward. We didn't know if we should continue being friends and whatnot. And I invited him over here, and we had a very, very long talk, and I truly opened up how I truly felt, like having issues with certain things that I was holding back on, that I was hiding from, the previous month, and just all those things. And that was like my true test, that I felt like I passed, that I was able to open up about those things. And it was difficult. There was very emotional, but that is what ultimately brought us back to a better terms, so we can both understand one another and our perspective, and how we preceded things incorrectly, and how we can improve ourselves. So that's ultimately where we are now. We are very good friends still. There is really, the only thing that really changed about our relationship is just, just the whole romantic aspect of it. But we're still very, very close. We still do plenty of things together, and we're still very open with one another. And I think going through this allowed us to understand where each other are coming from, and what we must do, what we must learn and grow from within ourselves. That was the key lesson to be learned, because without this, we would not have learned the important lessons that we needed to
Right.
proceed. And as you mentioned, those lessons, it's wonderful, and I'm so, so thankful for that. And to anyone else who may be watching this, who is going through a hard time, not every relationship you can be friends with afterwards. It all depends on how it ends. Ours ended in a way that we both understood that we didn't mean to do each other harm. We may have hurt one another and made ourselves upset, and I hurt her, I hurt him in whatever way, and we were holding back certain things. But ultimately, we know deep down that we didn't intend for that to happen, because we truly respect one
Right.
another, and
Yeah, we want the best for each other.
Yes.
Even if it's not romantic, we can still be friends and be the best friends we can be, and still support each
Yes.
other on the path to success.
Exactly.
And that should be the goal of every true friend, honestly. That's really it. But I'm hoping that you guys will take away a lot of advice and a lot of positive vibes from this video. And if you're going through a stressful relationship or anything, just keep those things in mind and determine what's best for you. At the end of the day, when you realize that, gosh, I'm more stressed in this relationship than I am than just being friends with this person, maybe you have to make some changes to do, what's better for you. I'm just very, very thankful that we were able to stay friends. This is honestly my first experience staying friends with someone in person. So I really appreciate the fact that we can still stay good friends and still hang out and be able to support each other in a friendship type of way, and just move forward and continue to work on ourselves and becoming better and better versions of ourselves each and every day.
Yes, that's ultimately the lesson to take away, because regardless of whatever you've been through, you can learn from whatever situation, and you can be the best person you can be. And that's what I've learned to realize. And I've made so many changes just in that week and a half that things have happened, and I know what I must do, and I am proceeding to be the best person that I can be, to be who I truly desire, and realize that, to love and respect everything that exists, and to be thankful for everything that exists, and to do my part to lessen any kind of pain or suffering to any other living thing. So that is ultimately what I have realized from this, and where I will proceed. So, any other final thoughts you wanted to say?
That is all I wanted to say. I want to thank you for inviting me back into the channel, and and also just thank you so much for everything you've taught me as well. I've learned to become a better person, a better man, a better friend, and through this life, I'm so grateful to have learned this lesson earlier than later.
Yes.
So thank you for existing, first of all, for being in my life, and just continuing to choose to be in my life, and continue to help each other out. Friends always have to help each other out in need, and you've shown that throughout all this, you have stayed a great friend, and just want to truly thank you for that. And that I know we'll both sincerely care about each other, and that'll never change regardless of what relationship we have with each other. And, and we'll both have a good heart, and never strive to intentionally hurt one another, but always looking out for each other, and just just being there for each other still. I think that's still super important when you're friends. And I guess I did have some more to say, but yeah, but that's okay. So that's it. That's all I have to really say now. All right, I'll end it there.
Okay, give me a hug.
All right.
So yes, please feel free to check out his YouTube channel and our other videos that we did together. All the links will be in the description. So thank you, Ray, for coming on, and we will be close friends, and I hope this was inspirational to you and could help you with any kind of trouble you were having. So have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.